Keto Nana 8 Tips for Newbies. Hey y'all, Keto Nana here for 8 tips for newbies. I am in my 8th week of the ketogenic lifestyle, and I've learned a few things along the way. I'm sure there's plenty more that I'm going to learn as time goes on and as the process changes and my body changes. But for right now, I wanted to share with you a few things that I did or that I learned or wished I had done in the first couple of, the first week or two. And hopefully it'll make a lot smoother procedure for you. So number one, take your measurements. Weigh yourself. I know the scale is not our friends, y'all. I know it. But be brave and do it. Weigh yourself because you'll be happy you did. How can you celebrate your successes when you don't know where you began? You have to have your baseline, okay? Suck it up. Put yourself on the scale and tell yourself as you're doing it how, congratulate yourself for doing it and say, this is the last time I'm going to see that number. And write it down and then don't weigh yourself again for another week. I know there are people that weigh themselves every day. No, that is like madness. Your body normally fluctuates up and down. Just don't do it once a week. If you're going on a long fast, maybe weigh yourself at the beginning of the fast and at the end of the fast. But that fasting's that's not in our cards right now. These are 8 tips for newbies, and we're not going to talk about fasting. That's a different video. But weigh yourself, take that measurement, and then take your body measurements. That's something I wish I had done. I've mentioned to you that I've lost 10 pounds, but before I saw the pounds dropping, I noticed that my clothes were fitting me better. T-shirts that I couldn't wear before, I could wear, and they were comfortable. I mean, not like I was in a sausage skin or something. So take your weight and also take your measurements, because oftentimes you'll see inches going before you see the pounds move. And that is like encouragement. And in the early days, we all need as much encouragement as we can possibly get. So commit yourself to at least, so number 2 is commit yourself to at least 6 to 8 weeks before you make any substitutions or changes to the ketogenic lifestyle. And I say that because there's a lot of varieties out there. There's a lot of flavors, and there's a lot of people that blog about it. And I'm not promoting one way over the other. I'm doing the standard ketogenic diet, which is very low carb, high fat, moderate protein. And I use, and I'll talk about what I use to manage my percentages. The thing is, if you start making changes in the beginning and something doesn't work, or you don't, you're not losing weight, you really don't know what went wrong. Was it because, is it too much protein? Don't know. You haven't had a success. You never actually got into ketosis. Do it, I would say, go for standard. Do it hardcore for 6 to 8 weeks. Get yourself into solid, optimal ketosis. And then if you want to make some changes, make some changes. Like if you want to add in some fasting days, which is a really natural progression in the ketogenic lifestyle. And I do have a video on that I'll be posting shortly. So commit yourself to 6 to 8 weeks, solid following the plan. No cheat days. This is absolute. In the beginning, sounds like I'll be quoting the Bible. In the beginning, there's no cheating. Thou shalt not cheat in the beginning of ketogenic lifestyle. And the reason is you've just barely gotten into ketosis, or you're still struggling to get into it. There's really no reason to reward yourself for a cheat day yet. You haven't done it yet. And it's, it's harder if you haven't been in solid ketosis and you get pulled out of it. And I talk about this in my 5 things that kicked me out of ketosis, because I've experienced this. So I know this firsthand. It's harder to get back in, or it takes a day or 2 to get back in if you haven't been solidly in ketosis. Yet if you have been and something happens, and there's all kinds of inadvertent slips. You could, eat out at a restaurant. It looks like it's a very innocuous thing that you're having, and it turns out there's sugar in it, or it turns out there's whatever. And it, spikes you and you're kicked out of ketosis. To the best of your ability, no cheat meals, no cheat days. It's too soon. 6 to 8 weeks is too soon to have a cheat day. Give yourself, time before you start doing that. I know there are a lot of people that do. They totally are for it. But y'all, we're over 50 and we've been overweight for a long time. And our bodies need to fully embrace this fat burning process. And we're not ever going to fully embrace it if we're jumping in and out, in and out, in and out. Let's see some progress. And then down the road, on your birthday, whatever, give yourself a cheat date. Going away for your anniversary, you have a cheat date. If this is going to be a lifestyle, and I totally believe this is going to be a lifestyle, then yes, you have to have times where, you're going to your mother's house and she's made her special, whatever the heck it is that she's made, her special lasagna. You're going to have a piece of it. And that's totally fine. But in the beginning, hang tough, okay? Use an app to track your macros. That's number 3. I use Carb Manager. It's awesome. I've got the premium version of it. I can put in recipes. I can keep track of everything. But other people I know use MyFitnessPal, and they have good things to say about that too. It's too damn hard to track your macros on your own. I tried in the beginning, and I thought, this is ridiculous. I'm spending quite a good chunk of my day where I'm supposed to be working and doing other things, figuring out how many calories, how much fat, how much protein. And there's an app for that, people. An app for that. Use the app. Embrace the 21st century and use the app. 3 things that I wanted to make sure I had 3 up. 3 things why an app was so helpful for me. Number 1, there were days that because fat is so filling, there were days I'd get to like dinner time, and I'd already put in my breakfast and lunch, and I would be putting in like what we were having for dinner. And I'm way under calories, like way under calories, because I was full. So I'd have to like add some cream cheese, or, add, I've started taking actually MCT oil, which I'll put in my tea, so that increases fat and some calories, because I have been struggling with about trying to make 1,100 calories, and for a 5-foot tall woman, that's pretty good. But there are days where that's a complete struggle. So that's one thing. Sometimes I'm having trouble with my calories, and I want to know before I go to bed, because it's too late, but then I need to up my calories a bit. 2, as I told you previously, when I was on Atkins, the reason why I think the most recent go around with Atkins didn't work was because I thought I had too much protein, and protein gets turned into glucose, and glucose gets burnt first, and you don't touch your fat stores. So, you can be very low carb, but if too much protein turns to glucose, then you're screwed. So there were times where I'd see like what I had for breakfast, and then what I had for lunch, I'm like, oh, I have to have a very light protein dinner. I can have more fats, I might have been low on my carbs. I could up my carbs a little bit, have a little bit more vegetables, maybe a little bit more cheese sauce or something like that. Go higher on that and lower on the protein, because I was already at my protein, and I'm really trying to keep within or a little bit under my protein ratio percentage. Like for me, it's 54 grams. That's based on weight and age and that kind of stuff. So yours will entirely be different. My fat grams are 79 a day. Now with fat, I don't mind if I'm a little bit below, because I'm like, I want it to eat my fat. So, I can be a little bit lower. I don't want to be so low. I don't want that ratio fat protein. I want more fat than protein. But if the day is coming to a close and I'm supposed to have 79 and I've had 72, that's okay. I'm not going to try to eat something else, and I'm just going to say that's good. We're good for the day. So having an app where you're tracking it is golden, and will help you along the way and keep you really solid. Keep you knowing how many calories you had. It's good to get used to tracking what you're having, because so often through our long overweight careers that we've had, we think we're not eating as much as we're eating. And so this is like putting all this in because I really want to keep my macros right and I want to keep the scale going down. I'm tracking every damn thing I'm eating, and it's been a blessing. So you take your measurements, you commit no cheat days, at least not the first 6 to 8 weeks. Use an app to track your macros. Test your ketones. In the beginning, testing your urine, it takes about 3 days or so, solid ketogenic diet, before you'll see any ketones in your urine. And that's really just excess ketones. And really all you need to see in your urine is a trace. Seeing more in your urine a lot of times can mean you're dehydrated, because that's just excess ketones. So in the beginning, testing your urine is great because there's enough. You'll be somewhere between trace to small to moderate, and that's fine. As you go into it, you may not be spilling ketones in your urine, and you might want to test your blood. So for the keto strips, you can get the urine ones just about anywhere. I use Smack That. For the blood testing, I use Keto Mojo, and they're awesome. They're a really great price. Everyone always complains about the price of the strips, and in Keto Mojo, it's when you join their plan, and it doesn't cost anything to join their plan. You've just bought something from them, and basically you're part of their plan. It's 99 cents a strip. So, and I also get my glucose strips from them. So, Keto Mojo is really good. I have a link for them down below. No artificial sweeteners, and this is something I still struggle with myself because I'm at 8 weeks, and so I need to do a video where I'm testing my glucose and ketones before and after, like various, like stevia and erythritol swerve. In the beginning, I know for sure that stevia kicked me out of ketosis. I could see it in my blood and urine ketone testing. But I didn't do it for the swerve. I didn't test it for the swerve, and that's erythritol, and that is, everyone says that's not supposed to affect you, but I don't know. So I need to do the testing and everyone needs to do their own testing because everyone's body is different, everyone's sensitivity is different, so you'll have to do your own testing. But I will post, when I do the testing, I will post it so you can see, because I'm curious myself, what can I have? Because I would like to, I would like to have, people talk about fat bombs and stuff. I made one once before I knew that stevia kicked me out. I made it with stevia, and it was like fabulous. I had cocoa in it, and cream cheese, stevia, and some heavy cream, and something else in there. Maybe some coconut oil. And that was great. And then I made another one where I forgot to put the sweetener in it. It was coconut oil, and I threw it away. It was like disgusting. So I'm like, I've kind of banned fat bombs for me because I'm not having the sweetener. So no sweeteners in the beginning. We're trying to break that addiction to the cravings for sweet stuff. And like I've mentioned before, even when I was just having Splenda or stevia in my tea, which is no calorie, no carb, I still wanted sweet stuff. It triggered that craving for sweet stuff. So since we're trying to break that cycle and kind of give our bodies a break and get over our addiction to carbs, it's probably best to just deal with no sweeteners. And to be honest, now when I have my tea in the morning, I do have a splash of heavy cream in it, and I'll put my MCT oil in the morning, my frothy tea, I call it. I think it's heavenly. It's unsweetened, and it's great. So no artificial sweeteners. Keep your diet to yourself. It's best for you in the beginning. Really, you don't really want to, it's best not to draw attention to yourself. And sometimes people try to guilt you into having a bite of this or a bite of that. Or if they see you're not eating, your bun, or you've asked for side salad instead of fries, or all you have to do is say, I'm watching my weight. You don't have to go into the whole big thing, because there's a lot of people who want to argue, who may have heard they might have heard some negative reports or whatever. They don't know the science. They don't know anything about it, but they are more than willing to argue and tell you how wrong you are. So it's best just not to go down that road. Let your results do the talking for you. You don't need to talk about it. It's all good. No snacking. Sorry, y'all. If you're having 3 meals a day, I'm down to 2 meals a day on my eating days. No snacking in between. So if you're having 3 meals a day, you have your, you've had your, let's say you've eaten dinner at 6, you eat your breakfast 6 next morning. That's 12 hours where your body's had time to go chill and maybe hit the fat stores. And then you have your breakfast, and then 6 hours later you have your lunch, and then 6 hours later you have dinner, and you don't, so your insulin's going to spike those 3 times, but that's it. And you're very low carb, so it's not going to be a big spike. But you are going to have protein, and you're going to have some fat, so there is going to be a spike. There's no way around it. So no snacking though. You will notice that eventually you can go longer and longer between your meals. Like I said, I'm down to 2 meals a day on my eating days because I'm so full. I will have my MCT oil in my tea in the morning, like on my frothy tea, and that's it until lunchtime. MCT oil does not spike the insulin. It just extends that time where your body's kind of like in a chill mode, and you're hitting the fat stores and working on that freezer, as Dr. Fung says. So no snacking. Sorry, no snacking. If you are going to have dessert, if you have gone, you're having, you've decided you are going to have some artificial sweeteners and you're going to have dessert, have it right after your dinner. Don't wait an hour after. Have it sort of with your dinner, almost like your dinner, go right into dessert. And that way you're not having 2 insulin spikes, you're just having that one kind of longer one. So that way, as soon as you finish with your dessert, you're onto your fast. Check out the keto recipe blogs. I've mentioned that before. There are a lot of great savory recipes. I kind of say stay away from the sweet ones for at least the first 6 to 8 weeks. But check them out. But keep an open mind. They are not 50 years old. They probably are not insulin resistant. Most of the ones I've seen are in very good shape. So, and they're quite young. So, they're in a different part of the path. There's a couple that, you can see that they're chubby and they have some weight issues. And they're working hard at it. But they are also making sweet stuff. And I feel like that carb, sweetness is such a trigger to me that it's just best. So I watch them for their savory dishes, and I might vicariously watch them for their, their sweets. But I'm not making them, and I'm not eating them because it's too soon for me. So those are my 8 things. Take your measurements, commit to at least 6 to 8 weeks. No cheat days, not dates. Don't cheat on your date. No cheat meals. Use an app to track your macros. You'll be thankful in the long run. Test your ketones. Urine's fine in the beginning, and then blood. You really don't have to, but it's one of those things that when you see it, because my keto sticks never changed when I was on Atkins, because guess what? I was having too much protein, so I never was in ketosis. So having them change on the ketogenic plan is very inspirational, very motivational. I'm like, yes, I can do it. So that's good. Keep your diet to yourself. You don't need to chat with anyone about it. No artificial sweeteners. No snacking. Sorry, y'all. And check out the keto blogs, those recipe blogs. They'll give you good ideas. You don't want to get into a rut. There's a lot of good foods you can have. Man, when you're cooking with butter and oils, and there's a lot of things you can have. Yeah, you can't have potatoes, but so what? So check it out. Expand your repertoire. Learn about some new foods. And be kind to yourself. And until next time, take care of yourself.